I think we're live and all right. What is up, interwebs? What is up, Rebel Nation? Andy McCabe here, Joe Spears over there. This is the Restoration Rebel Roundtable for the 10th of January, 2024. Awesome. Hey, we got our first comment. Yes, indeed said yes, indeed. Who is this guy? Yes, indeed. I don't know. Anyway, thanks. Yes, indeed. All right. As we do before we do anything on the show, we have to read the agreements. So here, wait, where's my window? Oh, I forgot to bring them up. All right. Let's just get. I'm gonna wing it. We don't need to see them. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Here's the rebel agreements. Okay. In the grand tradition of skilled artisans and guardians of our noble craft, we, the licensed professionals of the restoration industry, come together under the banner of shared responsibility and dedication, with a sense of duty to the insured public and an unwavering commitment to excellence. We hereby affirm our solemn pledge to uphold these sacred agreements. All right, I don't have the old style, and this is the long style. I'm not reading all the descriptions. I'm just going to read in the bullet points. Agreement number 1, I will protect the value of my services. Agreement number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. Agreement number 3, I will embrace community over competition. I do not believe in competition. Agreement number 4, I will align my work with my values. Yeah, once again, I don't like how this turned out, but whatever. No project, no amount of money is worth losing sleep. Wait, I messed that one up. I screwed that one up, Joe. Dang it.
No amount of money is worth giving up my insanity, my integrity, or my peace of mind.
I like that. I'll go with that. I'll use that one. What's up, Joe? What is happening in your world?
Keep in mind, I have, obviously, if you know me and you never met me in real life, you understand that I keep a full winter coat going at all times, all year round. And I am keeping myself inside because in the Midwest, it is cold. It is cold.
It's getting cold. It's already cold here in Bend, Oregon. We just had, I think yesterday, was it yesterday or today? Yesterday we had at 9 a.m. we had no snow on the ground. By 11 a.m. we had about 3 or 4 inches. Today we woke up with 12 inches on the ground in town, and 4-wheel drive required. It's awesome. I can't wait. I was hoping to go to the mountain snowboarding tomorrow, but I just don't think I'll be able to wing it. Won't be able to wing it. So there's I had a couple conversations today with, I don't have a real itinerary, so we can just shoot the shit and see what comes up. But I had a couple folks on the phone today, a couple different clients, one from Missouri, one from Hawaii, and we were talking about things like, what's that? Yeah, we're good. Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's automatic.
Oh, okay. Anyway, where was I? Oh, we were talking about this guy. One of these guys owes $150,000 for work that he performed, mitigation and repairs he performed on a condo association about almost 90 days ago. And he was trying to understand why the insurance company had come in and wrote their own comparative mitigation and their own comparative repairs, and it paid what they thought they owed of $30,000. And I spent some time and I reviewed the policy, and I reviewed with him what the adjuster had told him. And at the end of the day, my advice was this: get a new adjuster, complain to the state, complain to the state insurance commissioner, and get a hold of a desk adjuster or a supervisor. And if it's not explicitly explained or defined within the insurance policy, whatever the insurance adjuster is saying is just his opinion. It's just made up.
They bet not. I mean, it's like literally playing poker. They are betting that you're going to roll over and show your pink belly and say, "Okay, I'll take the
Mm-hmm.
money." And
Mm-hmm.
all, and they because they know that 9 out of 10 people will do that, so it's in their interest to do it. And the other person, they him haul around with them for 180, 300 days. You're just like, okay, I'll settle and
Yep.
everything. That's how they make they because every pin it's all about they got to keep a profit, and they you taking their money is not a profit.
Yeah. And this is rampant throughout the industry. I had another guy on the phone putting together a custom price list for him. I forget where he's at. Where is he at? Oh, he's out of LA. And he was asking me, how do I justify using a different price list than the standard price list in Xactimate? And I said, why do you have to justify your charges? We're not in a position, we're contractors. We're not in a position to justify our fees or our methodologies of how we're doing the work. We don't have to justify that to anyone except for our client, right? Our client needs to understand what we're doing. Our client needs to understand our fee schedule. But the adjuster, he has no say. The only say, and I'm going to say this a million times before I die, I'm sure, but the only say the adjuster has over you is the say you give him.
The only
The
say
only
the adjuster should have is yes, it's covered under the policy. No, it's not. That's it. That's the only thing they need to say is yes, it's covered. No,
is
it's not.
this a covered loss? Are there any exclusions that apply? No. So
I
I
love how
advise
AmFam has their own custom price list, but yet they'll give you shit for not using the default price list when you submit it.
Yep, State Farm has their own price list.
And they'll say it's not a custom price list. It's actually just a modified price list with like all the contents portion taken out, so their adjusters aren't getting mixed up with items. And that's what I've heard them say, and I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's intentional. The the reality is the we have way more control over our own businesses than we as an industry give ourselves. So I also had to explain to this guy that if he's if he is constantly negotiating insurance claims with adjusters, he is violating the law. Because yes, he's an insurance I mean he's a contractor, he's a licensed contractor, but he's not a licensed adjuster. And I think I've told you this story, Joe, over the years, and I won't repeat it here. But if we are negotiating directly with an insurance carrier via their adjuster, and the homeowner or the insured is not present during that negotiation, we are negotiating on their behalf.
Well, and the way they get around that is most adjusters, most TPAs, Wardlaw, and all them, they never talk about pricing. They talk about, well, you've got a large dehu and the PP and this job only required a regular dehumidifier, so you need to change that, or we don't pay for this line item. And so I mean that's why I tell everybody, okay, you don't pay for that, that's fine then, but that doesn't change the price of this estimate. I'll revise the line item to read whatever the hell you want it to read, or I'll make it not read it and I'll put that price somewhere else because this is how much the job costs, whether or not you pay for specifically for that line item or not. And that's how they get around it because they're not negotiating the claim at that point. They're
No,
just
they don't.
arguing scope.
They're not getting around anything. They're blatantly, flagrantly violating the law. They're not getting around anything. The only reason they're getting away with it because no one's turning them in because no one understands that they're breaking the law. Wardlaw, I would challenge Wardlaw. I mean, I got a bone to pick with Wardlaw, right? I mean, they've sent me a cease and desist letter more than once. So Wardlaw, let's do it, right? Let's go. Those guys are not licensed adjusters either. So some of them are, and they have licensed adjuster on staff. But when a non-licensed adjuster calls a contractor who is not a licensed adjuster and negotiates the claim, I don't care, Joe. If you're trying to get me to reduce my scope of work, you're reducing the claim severity. You are negotiating that claim.
Well, I know,
Period.
I agree with you there, but that's their mentality. Is we're not talking about dollars. Like shouldn't be a $10,000 job. It should be a $9,000 job. They're saying, well, you didn't need this here, or you didn't validate. You didn't show me a picture of your trash on the truck, so I don't need to pay you. I've had an adjuster, Andy. I had an adjuster where we had pre photos of the carpet wet. We had post photos of the carpet gone, and this mother had the audacity to say, "Well, you don't have any photos of your guys taking the carpet out, so how do I know you guys did it? I'm not going to pay for you." And I said, and
Who did
everything, and
it?
I was,
The
he's
elves?
like, he said, "Well, how do I know that like the homeowner didn't pull it out or something?" And
Oh,
I'm like, "Are you
uh,
fucking kidding
even if
me?"
the homeowner did pull it out, you owe somebody for the fact that it was pulled out.
Yeah, but I
Oh,
mean, yeah, like that's their mentality is if you can't prove you did it, let's knock it down.
so yeah, contractors, you are not in a position. You don't have to justify anything to anyone but your client, and keep it clear. You have a contract with a client who happens to have insurance, who may or may not pay for the loss.
I
It
had
doesn't
a
mean that the work doesn't need to get done, and it doesn't mean they shouldn't pay you for your work. Yeah, go
Well,
ahead,
like
Joe.
I had a client. I have a guy today, one of our members, that called me, and he's like, "Joe, I got an issue." He's like, "So, when I went out to the job and I had the homeowner sign the paperwork, I said, I thought this job was going to be X amount of money. By the time we got done, I put in an exactimate. It came out to be more money, so, and I submitted it over. And now the insurance is like, well, you got your contract is only for XX, so that's all we're going to pay." And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "So I started doing a He's like, "I started doing a paper, invoice or whatever to follow the numbers out and everything instead of just giving them a random number, best guess ideal number." And he's
Mhm,
like, now that I have this spreadsheet and I do it, he's like, if I go back and put an exact amount, I found out that like I'm actually on average coming in a little bit lower than what my little time and material list is for.
mm,
And he's like, can I turn? He's like, can I still use that initial price? And I was like, yeah, like there's tons of people that just use QuickBooks, and you just here you go. And he's like, "Well, what do I do when the adjuster says I need this itemized?" Say, "Well, here's your dry logs, here's my scope sheets, and here's my environmental reports.
mhm.
It's all item and all this, and then staple it to the invoice and say, there's your itemization." And there's nothing they can't force you to use it. And I mean, you're not as much as I and you love Exactimate because it makes everyone's life easier and it helps everybody ensure that they are at least somewhat maximizing their accounts. You don't have to use it. You can literally say, "My guys are $150 an hour. I rent my equipment out for $150 a day,
Mhm,
and we're
mhm.
done." Like, it's that it.
We are done.
But
End of
I
story.
and I do. I tell that, we had a commenter here. I used to tell people all the time, you want a free estimates are free. I'll come out and based on my experience doing this 20 years, you're probably in about the $5,000 range.
Mhm, mhm,
But if you needed an itemized estimate, you're going to pay me X amount of money for me to go back and calculate the measurements and type it all in and everything. But and that's why I always encourage everyone, if you are first off, you should be giving a homeowner a price when you have them sign your contract. If there's not a price on your work authorization contract,
it's
it's
not a
not
valid
a valid
contract.
contract. And you
Yep.
cannot put on it per exactimate pricing or whatever, because in a court of law, the judge will say, well, that homeowner has no clue if it means $1 or $1 million, not a valid contract. So if you're listening to this, this is what I suggest. Best guess estimate, I'm thinking it's a $5,000 job. We're going to put a plus or minus $2,000 variance. And as long as we don't feel like we're going to go above that $2,000, it'll be, final price will be based on Exactimate pricing. If for some reason
Mm,
we find a bunch of damage and we think it is, just like on reconstruction, we'll present you a change order and you can either sign it or we'll stop what we're doing, pack our crap up, and bill you for what we've done so far. Because, and the reason why I say $2,000 is because in most states you're only supposed to have or you can't have more than like a $500,000 increase without it having to go to a small claims court. So as long as
Okay.
you're not
Yeah.
in Indiana, so like if I I used to do this here. If I went to a job and I was like, it's a 5,000 or $6,000 probably. That's my low number. And then I do, plus, 2,000, 5,000, whatever now. And, and I'm kind of covered, and homeowners love it when you're like, well, worst case scenario, it might be $11,000 and you're to come back to them and you say it's only 9 grand. They're going to be like, you're a hero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you've got to have a number. You've got to have a number on a contract because there's got to be some consideration, and without consideration, it's not a valid contract. Whoa! All right, we're gonna have to mute you. There we go. Whew. There's some feedback. What's up, boss?
And then if you live in a state with the lemon law, make sure your contracts waive the right to cancellation. Because when I first started this industry, people didn't have that.
You gotta waive the right to cancellation.
We'd be dry in 3 days, and then guess what would happen? Oh, on day 3,
they'd
you're
cancel
fired.
the contract.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. Abby doesn't give an estimate up front, which is fine. A guesstimate. On mitigation, I used to say you start with anymore. It's like 45 grand, or I'm sorry, 4,500 minimum, and then for one room, and then I add $2,500 per room for drying for mitigation, and that'll get you close. It'll at least cover you. But there's no, yeah. You've got to have good contracts, and because guess what, we're contractors. Yeah, we're only as good as our paper. We really are. And there's just so many people. Let's try this again. We're good? Oh, okay. No feedback. All right. You got a hat I can borrow? Look at all those hats. I thought I had a hat problem. Man, I got so many hats at my house.
My wife told me I'm not allowed to bring any more hats home after the last conference.
Well, you did.
Yes.
You brought home what, 6 hats from the RIA conference? Let's take a chance. Let's take a moment to mention the RIA, Restoration Industry Association. If you're not a member, become a member. I'm going to put it in the chat here. You guys see Restoration. I can't spell. RestorationIndustry.org. Go get signed up. And while you're there, find the time in your calendar to get your butt to Dallas in April 8th through the 10th. I'm going to be there. I'm going to have a booth. Joe, you need to talk Ribs is Ribs going to have a booth this year or no?
They should. I don't know yet if they're going to allow me to go on their behalf or if I'm going to pay for it myself and then write it off as a business expense, but I'll be there.
Yeah. Either way, you got to be there. We're gonna have the couches set up. I'm not gonna set up the couches this year, though. I'm not doing that again. That was a pain in the ass. But we need, as an industry, as I'm always preaching, we need to come together. We need to find commonality. We need to find common talking points, and we need to find a voice, a collective voice. And the vehicle for finding that collective voice is the Restoration Industry Association, the RIA. I use their position papers almost every single day. I get so much out of the RIA, and there's discounts, an affinity program, or whatever that is. That's not why I'm a member. I'm a member of the RIA because I believe that there's strength in numbers. A rising tide will float all boats. And if we can get 10,000 members into the RIA, we can start doing real national and state-by-state lobbying, just like the big insurance companies do.
What breaks my heart still to this day is the fact that Restoration Rebels, the Facebook group, has more members than the RIA does. But because we're a Facebook group, we're not looked as a voice within the community. And so, but the RIA is. If we could just get every member of the Rebels to sign the RIA with the RIA, we'd be in a killer's position.
Well, that's also, I would like to I'd like to put this challenge out to the Restoration Rebels specifically. I know this stream goes out to other areas. Let's create our own little super PAC, a rebel pack inside the RIA, and then our voice will be heard because we will be the voice. We can get seats on the board, we can get leadership positions, and then we can really start to direct things. And I think that's where historically, not to bag on anyone, historically, the association has been slow to respond to industry needs, has been hesitant to take really strong stances on things. But I think the time for hesitancy, the time for being timid, is over. We've got insurers. We've got insurers going out of business every single day because they're getting played with by adjusters because they don't know any better. And
And
we need to be that voice of, hey, this is the industry standard, right? We are in a position to develop these industry standards and then abide by them and then help other people grow into and develop good habits. Anyway,
not only is the RIA a great networking tool, which we all know the importance of networking within business, you
yes.
have to understand the IICRC creates the standard for the industry for what should and shouldn't be done. The RIA it advocates for our industry to say, here's a book with stereo instructions. This is what it actually is telling you you should or shouldn't do.
Yep. Yep.
And then we have plenty of other people in that help, help you on the backside with the billing, on helping you justify your bills and everything. Like, the Restoration Rebels, I mean, we're kind of the exact, I kind of jokingly say that we're the Exactimate help group of the RIA, but, I mean, we, you know, we
We kind
have,
of are.
that's what this, network is about. And the more people that join up, there's strength in numbers. It's why, whether or not you're a union guy or not, that's why unions used to be so powerful, because they had the strength in numbers. And
Hmm.
and with the way the insurance is screwing us over nowadays, guys, and forcing, I don't care if you're a TPA or not, you're going to go through the TPA review process and get paid the same. We need to have that strength in our numbers.
Yeah. What say you? Yes, indeed.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yep.
can. Yep.
What do you want to know?
I don't know. What do you feel? How do you feel about are you a RIA member?
We are not.
Why not?
However, we definitely should be at this point. I don't know why not. We've just been kind of slow to getting there,
Mm.
ultimately.
It's
Well,
so affordable. It's so
that's
affordable.
the thing is there's so many great resources out there for every one of you that watches this. And all, it's just a matter of pulling the trigger. I mean, it's just like I told you the other day about the profile,
Mm.
actionable profile that we are always raving about, has less than 1,000 people using it, which
Really?
blows my, yeah.
Is it still less? I hope there's more. I
I mean,
hope
that was
there's
only
more.
like 2 or 3 weeks ago that they told me that.
Okay. All right.
But I mean,
Yeah,
like
let's plug that real quick. Get you got to go to get. I'm gonna put that in here in the link. You're welcome,
getinsights.org.
Cole. I love you, Cole. Get
If you
insights. Oops. .org. Right. So
so
the actionable profile is a profile that you install into your Xactimate license that gives you a window on the right hand side that guides you on things that you may want to consider adding to your
and
estimate.
for example, if you just type in remove category 3 carpet, it's going to suggest, based on you removing category 3 carpet, it is customary to require extraction.
Hmm.
You didn't include extraction. You didn't include pad.
You
You
forgot
didn't
your
include,
pad. Yep.
you forgot tack strip. You
Hmm.
have drywall being flood cut, but you didn't include baseboard. You
Hmm.
removed a toilet. You might want to include a trash bag for wrapping the toilet up or putting a supply cap on.
Or a
Like it,
plug for the
it
drain. Hmm.
it's the only tool that you can get to get the expert skills, having an expert in your pocket without having to come to me or Andy and talk.
And they're adding rules every single day to make it even smarter. And it's based on AI. It's essentially Chat GPT for Xactimate baked into Xactimate. It is only going to continue to get better and better and better and smarter and smarter and smarter. They
I was
just
only gonna
came out. Did you see the latest revision where they made all their notices into 3 different categories?
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Trust me, like I probably drive Seth and Cole crazy with the amount of times I'm screenshotting saying your rule's broken. Why is this rule triggering? And everything. So yeah, I mean, guys, I mean, even with my skill set, I still love the profile, and it's
Yeah.
$168 a month. So if you
Yep.
write 4 files a week, each for 4 weeks, as long as that program helps you find $10 on each of your files, it breaks even.
No,
I'm sorry. I missed, what program are you talking about again?
I'm gonna pull up my
actual
Xactimate.
insights
I'm gonna pull it.
profile.
We'll do a little
It's at
screen share here.
getinsights.org.
Yeah, I'll show you exactly what you're talking about. What we're talking about here in a second. Okay, I'm logged out. Let me get logged back in. This is a problem when you're running 2 different estimating companies. There's never a license open.
I love personally ChatGPT because I kind of write aggressive emails, and then I love
Mhm.
putting it in ChatGPT to soften it up and make it an acceptable manner to not be an asshole,
Right.
basically.
I'm usually like makes it sound more threatening, but in a professional manner.
Let
Exactly.
me
Yeah.
see here. Oh, this isn't even ordered correctly. Yeah, did I mention I had to reinstall my entire operating system? So
Nice.
all my settings are off. Okay. Let's try.
Just make a new file up and put a line item in, and let's see what it replies back.
No. Okay, fine. No, I don't want to.
Well,
I'm
fine.
gonna open this one. Yes. And okay, local, open. All right, I'll come back here and share my shite.
I think one of my favorite line item notices they put in there now is that if you reset a granite countertop, it gives you the notice, hey, you might want to buff and polish this countertop after resetting it. Use this line item, and then it gives you the code. And most people don't even have a clue that that line item's in the program.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's do a window. All right, so this ended up being an empty estimate. So before I even do anything, it's saying, "Hey, you got some admin stuff to take care of. You don't have a price list installed." Well, I can't put anything
Just put
in
a zip
without a
code in.
price list. Oh. Oh, my price list. I've got to reinstall all price lists?
Just type in a zip code price list and zip code and let it pull the price list for you.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Not my favorite. Okay, here we go. Let's do let's put a room in first because put a room in.
If you don't hit Shift G, I'm going to lose my mind. Too many dots. Oh,
Uh,
thank God.
why is it not letting me put it? It's R
Because
for room.
because you're on the exterior level.
For crying out loud. I'd only do this for a living. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay, we got 3 rooms. I'm gonna get
And you
rid
can
of
do
them
it for
all.
if you're a graphical sketcher like I am, it'll work here. If you're not a graphical sketcher and you just like estimate items, it'll work on both sides, guys. Like it doesn't matter which side it works on.
Let's extract some carpet from not hard carpeted floor category 2. I don't care. I'm just picking up stuff here. We extracted some carpet. Okay.
You pulled 8. Well, you already got 8 cautions.
Yep. Tear out salvageable wet carpet and cotton bag for disposal. Okay. Now let's go to our estimate items and see what we got. All right. What did it say? Okay. We're going to ignore these violations for now, but what did this say? After hours water extraction of carpeted floor typically warrants after hours removal of pad. That's a good idea. Oh, did I put after hours? I didn't mean to.
Well, you can see it caught it. It knows you put it after hours.
Interesting. But look at this. It gives you the code to use, right? So I'm going to come in here, and this is room 1, right? I'm going to make sure. So as soon as I put in that WTR PADA, that warning is going to go away, right? See? Carpet pad tear out likely warrants the application of antimicrobial agent. Why, yes, it does. WTR, GRMB. Oh, why is my WTR?
I will say it hurts. It hurts me so much when I use this on the mitigation side because you're usually estimating after the fact and you're realizing, oh my
Right.
God, my technicians missed $1 million worth of work. But on the reconstruction where you pre-estimate, oh my God, it'll make you
Well,
really nice.
well, let me tell you, there is a solution. It's called Quick Check. That's the problem we saw when we before we developed Quick Check is we can't do anything about the mitigation process after the fact. So that's why we're involved on day 1. First notice of loss, day 1, we're involved, and we're running scenarios, mitigation scenarios every single day of your loss, and giving you a report every day saying, "Hey, did you think about applying antimicrobial? Did you think about your PPE? Did you think about all these things?" So that is one area where I think Quick Check is just going to just expand the minds of the industry, because if you don't design your process for cash flow up front, you're gonna have collection problems on the back end. So we are a cash flow optimized estimating company, but we're so much more than that. Anyway, so thanks for that little entryway there to get my Quick Check plug today. We design the mitigation process should be designed to get paid, right? If you're not setting your intention on day 1 of the loss to get paid when you're done, your process is going to reflect that. So our clients, we institute a process that is designed to increase cash flow, increase profitability, and reduce accounts receivable significantly. All right, now
And guys,
advertising
listen,
over.
look, I don't care if you use the Great and Circle, if you use Claims Check, if you use Rocket Plan, if you use pen and paper, you need good documentation. And one of the best pieces of documentation that you can provide is an accurate sketch.
Oh God.
If your technicians do not know how to sketch a house out, you need to spend a day and make them practice sketching, because
Or give them a tool that's easy to use that'll
like
do the sketch for them.
Matterport and Circle, things like that.
Yep.
Because first off, if they sketch it right, you're gonna end up always having more money. You know why? Because inches add up over
Mhm.
the course of a year. Number two, once you have a good sketch, you can shorthand everything else. Baseboard, PF, carpet, F, 0.5 F, whatever you need to, and it
Right.
speeds up the scope sheet information gathering. I do not know how much it drives me crazy to see contractors send me paperwork that says remove baseboard, 36.3 linear feet. Like, I don't do that. Just
Don't
tell me
do
the
that.
perimeter. Just say P perimeter. You know,
Perimeter.
if
Half
you
the
say
perimeter.
flood,
P divided by 2. P
if you say
divided by 4.
if you're doing a flood cut, just say bedroom flood cut, and then I can see in your photos. Oh, look, these two walls are missing drywall. These aren't. Guess what? I have a good sketch. I know what those measurements are. I don't need you to tell me anything else.
Mhm.
And I had a job the other day where literally in a 12 by 12 room, that's 144 square feet. The technicians put down 140 square feet of carpet. And I spent like an hour looking through like 200 photos trying to determine whether or not they didn't know how to do math,
Did they
or,
leave 4 square
or
feet?
did they maybe leave it underneath a dresser? And it was because they didn't know how to do math.
Yeah.
Like, sketches make life easier.
Everything good in Xactimate starts with a sketch. Everything. And that's where, I mean, I love InCircle's tool is pretty useful. It's pretty user friendly. It's hard to mess up, but it's not. I'm
infallible.
sorry, folks in InCircle. It is not the cream of the crop. The number one tool for sketching and everything else is Matterport, bar none. But it's expensive, and there's a learning curve, and the equipment is
Wait,
expensive.
wait. Time out. Where is this misconception that Matterport is expensive? For me to get started for you to get started in
True.
Matterport, you can get started using your iPhones. They're not great scans, but they're good scans, and they're good enough to get the floor plan, which is what
True.
InCircle gets you.
True.
Regardless of size, though, up to 25,000 square feet, a floor plan through Matterport is $14
14
every
bucks.
time.
Yep.
And for you to have a plan, for you to have like 20 spaces, it's going to cost you like $30 a month for like 20 spaces. Now, if you want to buy an
That's
actual
true.
camera so your phone's not tied up, it's $300 for a Theta. $300, a one-time purchase of $300. You can scan without using your phone.
Yep.
You're good to go. That's not a deep investment. That's less than most meters on the market right now.
That's true. Yeah, if I was gonna do it today, and if I had, let's say I was running a restoration company doing mitigation, and I had 3 crews, I would have a 360 camera in every single truck with a tripod, and I'd be
Yeah.
running. I'd
And-
have them run Matterport off their phones.
And unlike DocuSketch with Matterport, it's the small monthly fee of $30 or whatever deciding plan you decide to get, and the one-time purchase of the camera, and that's it. If you don't
Mhm.
want to order the scans and the measurements, you don't have to. I don't usually. I usually screenshot it and sketch over top of it because I know what I'm
Really?
doing.
Is it
Uh,
is a screenshot dimensionally correct?
relevant. Well enough that it can get me most of it, and then I can go into the actual walkthrough and double check room walls when I double click on them, like I showed
Okay.
you.
Okay.
But
Yep.
I mean, I can do that there. Like on a basic cookie cutter square house, not a problem. You've got, if you got a house, if you got a big house and everything, maybe the floor plan is the right choice for you. It's 15 extra bucks. Not
Mhm.
a big,
Mhm.
but 15 extra bucks could save your guys an hour or two of sketching. If you've got a monster fucking house, sorry about the language, but if you got a monster home, yeah, you can order the True Sketch,
Order the
and
True Sketch.
the True
Yeah.
Sketch, as long as you're under 10,000 or from 4,000 to 10,000 square feet, it's $389. Most homes are not over 4,000 square feet, so it's
Yeah.
going to be probably about $158.
Yeah,
But
and
for
you're
158,
right, Joe. There is a misconception because people are like, $380. Why would I do that when I can do it for free? Well, you are severely discounting your time if you think you are getting anything done on any job site anywhere for free, right? There's a cost for everything. And the biggest cost that I would argue most restorers ignore to their detriment is the cost of their own time. It's opportunity cost. What else could I be doing instead of spending 4 hours on this job site sketching it by hand?
and getting all the door openings, all the window openings,
Ugh.
or how long, guys, like the same sketch that I write my mitigation on is what I write my repair on. There's
Yes.
no reason it should be
Would
different.
you believe there are companies, a lot of companies that sketch jobs twice? Because the mitigation sketch is so crappy, the repair guy has to go back out to the house to
No,
do
I
his
would
own
never.
sketch.
That's a lie. Never. But I mean, most water people, oh, it's a 2 foot, it's bottom. They don't add the windows and the doors, so you got to go out and resketch it. Or my favorite is they only sketch out the affected area of the living room, and it's a continuous main level, and they have
Continuous
all that
flooring.
common air and all. Whereas with the Matterport, you
Yep.
scan the whole main level. Now,
Yep.
when you do your math, you can calculate your air square footage
Yep.
correctly.
There's a reason I won't, as a public adjuster, I won't handle a job unless it's been Matterported. I won't do it. If my client doesn't want to pay for a Matterport, I don't want to do the job. It's that important to me.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're doing it right, you do most companies, I encourage them day one before the loss happens. You can see everything that's damaged as it sits. Do it at the end of day one demo with all the demo done. Or, if it's going to be a full gut or something, maybe, you can wait till the end. But, on average, do it at the end when you set all your equipment up. Then you don't even have to really worry about marking off, I can count your air movers and your dehues. And
Mhm.
then, and all, but, bare minimum one before, so I know what's going on, what it looked like before, and a post demo, maybe you do a third one, a post equipment's pulled out before I leave the property to ensure that, nothing got damaged before we left. Your recon guys will never have to leave the office again. They can sit there and just pump them
Yep.
out.
How many hours would that save you guys
How much
of
gas?
just
How much?
windshield time? Just pure windshield time. All right. Yes, indeed. You're gonna have to remind me your name. I'm been racking my brain for the last hour. I can't remember.
My name is Adam. I am
Adam.
with Green, Water, and Fire.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you know who I am.
I do. Yes. Yes, I do. All right.
I
So,
I even
what
introduced the
technology?
CRD into Matterport, by the way.
What tech are you guys using, Adam?
What
For
do you mean
your
by tech? Like,
Technology.
what are you using in the field?
if you're asking if we use Matterport, we definitely do. That is an awesome product. I agree with what you're saying that it saves hours of time and headaches throughout the process. Ultimately, everything I handle the interior, the guys handle the exterior, in the field. And that is just tremendous not having ever being to the site and being able to, just to basically see everything and be able to
And
pull my own measurements and um, add my personal light items that I might think would be necessary that they may overlook.
Mhm.
there, but you don't have to, not only do you have to spend the time sketching it, but then when you don't have a Matterport, how long do you spend sorting through photographs trying to figure out, well, where is this picture supposed to be a picture of, or
Mm,
or trying to orientate yourself within the photo and saying like, okay, well, so this is from this angle and this is from this angle.
it's so hard.
Like, oh, I
It's so
hate
hard.
that. I mean, yeah, Matterport is an amazing tool. I think people think it's expensive because they all hear about the Pro 2 and they're like $3,000. And I'm like, well, first of all, I can get them. I know people that give you them for like $1,500, but
Yeah, they're cheaper
like
now.
you can get like $300 cameras and they work fine.
Yeah, I think the majority, like I said, I think the majority of people are just say it's too expensive because they think they're estimating for free. They think their estimator's time is free because they're not job costing it, or their time is free because they're the estimator. They're not thinking about return trips. They're not thinking about the beauty of having data that exists forever, right? Once you scan it, it's there forever. I've got multiple files I've worked that 3 years later were in a lawsuit, and then I come up in the deposition and they ask me these questions. Well, what about this room? And I'll just pull up the Matterport and go, that's how I saw it, because it's it's a living data set that will never go away, that proves as built on-site conditions the day you were there forever.
One of the schools that's local to me actually had the property Matterported. And that's the only one they have. They have one Matterport on their account. That's of their, well, it's of their, well, they probably have like one of each of the schools now, but they have just the schools on there. And it's in case, God forbid, there's a gunman or something, they can, instead of looking at a fire escape plan, they can say, look, here's all the routes and here's all the rooms. And they can let like security and stuff check in. Like there's so many things that Matterport can just, the amount of detail it gives. Like it's
There's
a
a
wonderful
company
tool.
that actually overlays data on top of that Matterport data set for first responders, and it will link up those exit plans, in these to first responders. If they get a shooter situation, the first responders and the cops get a link, and it goes to the special website where those cops and first responders can actually see the Matterport with this overlay. There's overlays of pertinent information, but I mean, how powerful is that? That they can have situational awareness before they even get to the site.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but yeah, I mean, and like I said, not only is it a great tool for you guys for documenting and justifying your charges, it's a great tool to keep you out of court when Miss
Mhm.
Homeowner says, "You guys scratched my refrigerator." Well, on day
Mhm.
one, there's no scratch. Okay, let me look at the last day of the dry out. All the equipment's gone. There's still no scratch, ma'am. This must have happened after we left. Not my problem. You're, we had our son's PlayStation downstairs and his video game's missing. Well, I guess your son let someone borrow it because it's sure as hell not in my scan on any of these points in time.
I didn't see it anywhere in my scan.
But gosh, and here's the other thing is, and this is a sad fact I learned the other day. On average, you are less than or if you hand sketch your properties, your error rating is almost 20% on average for a property.
20%?
It's like you're usually within like you're only in the 70s when I forget what the actual number is, but it was in the 70s of accuracy because people round up, they round down. Their laser tape is not perfectly straight and it's at an angle, so it's throwing the measurements off. And and that's why it's so important to have this stuff. I mean, it's made to make your life easier, and it's silly, especially with nowadays where even if your techs you don't want to buy the cameras, all your techs have iPhones and Androids. They can scan with their phones. It takes longer. It's annoying. But hey, as a water tech, if that was all I had to do, that was my relaxed time while everyone else was going out smoking, send the guy that doesn't
Mhm.
smoke in there to scan. And it just, hey, I don't have to sketch this property. I don't have to worry about recording everything. I can just say, hey, flood cuts,
Yeah.
'cause, I mean, when you do the pre and post, all I want to see is your photos of the extractor in your hands, maybe the pump sprayer or the HEPA vacuum in your hands, maybe you in PPE. You don't even need to tell me you cut drywall out. I can physically see there was, and now it's gone. So unless
Mhm.
there was like 3 layers that you need to take a picture of that triple layer, you don't even have to document that no more.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of one and done. One trip. What if you have the technological capability to get everything you need in one trip, eliminate all other trips to the job site. I've done appraisals in other states where I did the appraisal from my desk right here. Oh, sorry, I should mute that. Uh, just because we had Matterport and the Matterport, the fidelity of that data was so good, I trusted it, and I don't need to spend people's money to fly across the country to do appraisals if we can get good data. So,
Well, not only that there, but like water techs, I'm not hating on anybody's water techs because I was a water tech for like 12 years straight. I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I would make sure my pictures were at a specific angle so it didn't look like I did a crappy job because my battery died and I had to hand saw something or this or that. And or I've seen water techs where they're like, well, let's set the air mover here. We're low on air movers, so we'll go back and get one later. But for right now, put it here and I'll move it over here and everything. Like, we'll come back and get it, but let's just that way there we don't have to pull our cameras and all that
don't
crap
get
out of
caught doing that. Yeah,
so now,
investors are getting smart nowadays. They're looking at the number on the air movers, looking at the numbers, the DUs.
but
They can
with
see
the
the same
Matterport
number
stuff,
in 2 different
and
pictures.
absolutely, I mean, I honestly, I'm sure some people are gonna be like, "Nope, nope, not my company." I truly and honestly feel like there unless the predominant amount of companies out there, after the basic hands-on training with the water techs, and then the new when they hire a new one, they have that lead water tech train the next water tech.
Mm,
Unless there's an issue brought up to somebody specifically, like, oh, they broke this or they're making a mess in my house. I think there's a massive disconnect on for a lot of companies between management and the field techs on what kind of work and style they're doing. And
mm,
you having these Matterports are great training tools to say, well,
yes.
like
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've seen or like tech pictures and the screws are still on the walls and stuff, and it's hard. Well, no, I promise you, we got those all out. Well, here's the
Mhm.
last day Matterport. I still see
Did you
screws.
though?
And
100% agree. You can
you
see
know,
all their shortcomings.
and guys,
Yeah.
seriously, and this is
And
my biggest pet peeve. If you're not pulling part of removing drywall on a category water loss, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, pull the damn nails, unscrew the screws from the frame. It should be ready, clean and ready for reconstruction. It's not the recon guy. It's not his responsibility to come in after your people and spend a day and a half pulling nails and screws and prepping the job to get started.
well, especially since especially cat, the higher categories, cat 3, there's potential contamination in everything, and if you leave screws in there, well, someone else who's not probably wearing PPE, the construction guy, is gonna have to touch that stuff. So, do us a favor. And I would argue it's not showing shortcomings. It's providing coachable moments, right? You know, our job, everyone in the office, above the water damage technician, their primary purpose should be to help the water technician do the best job they can.
That is some corporate lingo. If ever, that's like putting your email per my last email instead of saying, I've already told you to do this. Why are you screwing up? Per my last email, we had discussed that you would perform this duty. Like, gee, my favorite though is my favorite that I like to use when an adjuster gets me mad just out of nowhere here is literally is I hope you have as a pleasant of a day as you have been to work with.
Oh God. You can't mentor or coach from a distance. If yeah, yes, you get the data, through the Matterport or the reporting, whatever. But that coachable moment needs to happen on site, right? You need to get your butt, Mr. Manager, whoever you are, on that job site with that water damage technician and walk them through what needs to happen. Yeah, sending memos and emails and even text messages. Yeah, you can't coach from a distance. You can't mentor from a distance. So
And that's why when
get your
when I
butts
was
out
a
there.
mitigation manager, a sales guy could make a call. I would go out predominantly I would go out almost every night. I would make sure all the paperwork got signed. I did the sketch every time, so that way the sketches had consistency before Matterport. And I'd wait for the crew to get here, and I'd say, "You can do more, but at a minimum by tomorrow when I come back in tomorrow, this is what I expect you to have done." And
Yeah,
they knew what was expected. And a
yeah.
lot of people, though, they're just like, it's 2 a.m. We got a call. Go out there. I'll come check it out tomorrow after you get out there. And
Mm,
unlike reconstruction, that everything is planned ahead of time and organized, you're too late at that point if you're not, in there. In the like I
I
said,
agree.
encircle Matterports. If they're Matterporting on day one, most time on normal size property, that Matterport's going to be done in an hour or two. You could probably you can look. I mean, you can look at the
You're ready to
property.
estimate next day, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Hey, Dawn, we got a new face in the room.
Hey, Andrew. Hi,
What
guys.
is
How are
what is
you?
happening? What part of the world you calling from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. That's a long ways. It's late where you are. It's
Yeah.
bedtime.
Yeah, it is, but I'm kind of a nerd, so
Is it cold there?
it is cold. We've had some major floods in the past 2 days, so um I enjoy listening to you guys. I learn so much
Nice.
and of course I work in a male dominated industry. So in
Yes.
our company, it's a family-owned restoration business. So everything you guys are talking about, I hear it all day with the
Mm,
guys in the office. We have DocuSketch.
okay.
So we just ordered a whole bunch of DocuSketch. And the sad thing is, I haven't seen them use it once.
Yeah. I had a similar situation with a company I used to work for that will remain nameless. There was 4 brand new Matterports in the box when
Yeah.
I showed up. They just ordered them, and no one put them in their hand. No one gave any training or yeah, you got to use it. Why
See,
why buy it?
I can't. I mean, no disrespect to DocuSketch. I I mean, I know it's Pepsi and Coke is the kind of the comparison, but seriously,
No.
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 It's like Matterport is Coca-Cola and DocuSketch to me is like that soda fountain that you buy, make your own soda with.
It's
Still
Kirkland.
Coke.
It's Kirkland brand soda. Yes.
I mean, you
Oh.
can't measure from within the scans. So
Yeah, you
it
can't.
annoys the crap out of
The
me.
utility's just not there compared to Matterport, but it's better than nothing.
And
Okay.
I mean, and the price on the DocuSketch, I mean, yeah, you get X amount of unique properties per month, and then you pay, what, 10 or $15 per unique property afterwards.
Hmm.
But with, like I said, with Matterport, I pay a flat fee subscription for 20 or 30 spots. I
Yep.
deactivate what I need to deactivate.
You deactivate.
And that's
Yeah,
all I
you
got.
deactivate when you can.
Unless I actually need to have the ESX sketch, and I don't feel like I can sketch it myself or whatever. I mean, I
So
don't pay anything extra. I'm just not I wish DocuSketch could change a little
so
bit.
Don, what do you do for your company?
So I'm an operations support manager, and I also am HR and accounting. So I wear many hats. Many hats. As you
Little bit
guys
of
know,
everything.
it's 24/7.
You guys
Um,
doing program work?
program work, not really.
Good.
No, but we are we mainly work with plumbing companies, and the
Okay.
competition is just, I mean, we've
Vicious.
been in, yeah, it is. It really is. But we've been in business since 2007,
Okay.
and we just need education and help in so many different areas.
Mm.
So
What's your biggest pain point right now?
sales,
Sales.
marketing.
Really?
Yeah.
Just not enough work
Honestly,
coming
a
in the
little
door.
bit of everything. A little bit of everything is our
Okay.
pain point. But right now it's just
Getting the work in.
getting the work in. And we never used to have that issue. I mean, we work with two major plumbing companies in the state of New Jersey, and we've had companies like our competitors that have been bought out by corporate plumbing companies, and they're just dominating the market share. So we're
Okay.
like, all right,
Well,
guys, we got to get our act together and get moving. And we have customers. We're owed at least 500,000-600,000. Yeah.
Accounts receivable.
Yes.
it is. I feel your pain
That
there. I hear
hurts.
it all the time. I mean,
That's the number one killer.
first off, back in the day, having plumbing referrals wasn't too bad. $150, maybe $300. They were happy. Nowadays, they're getting smart and they're like, I want 1, 2, 3% or so, and
Yeah.
it's a pain in the butt. But you know,
There's a market in Florida. I've got a client in Jacksonville who stopped working with plumbers because they wanted $1,500 for mitigation referral.
one of my friends that
Yeah.
lives in Georgia, they wanted $300 just for them to call you out there, and if you landed the job, they expected another $1,200, regardless of what the price of
Yes.
the job was. And I was like, "Get out of here with that shit." But
Well, what's stopping
It's
you guys
getting
from
bad.
opening a plumbing company?
Well, I guess we'd have to find someone with a master plumber's license who's willing to do it. But yeah, so right now biggest pain point is competition and
it is.
getting ahead of the game, just trying to differentiate ourselves, and that's that's becoming challenging. So
Who's your ideal client?
our ideal client,
Those who with insurance through Chubbs.
Yeah.
We've never asked
The
questions.
Chubb.
yes, there you go. Yeah, we would love to get on vendors lists.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No,
No, you don't.
That's TPA.
Because
that's third
if
party
you
work.
we
think-
work with TPAs sometimes, and I know that from what I
Well,
understand, like the guys in the office who've been doing this for years, they don't like TPA work, which I'm sure you guys understand why. But for me, it's like it's reliability too, like just having that.
This is what I will say. And Andy knows I'm one of the more level-headed, I'm going to put it, TPA people, commenters here. TPAs have a time and a place. They should never account for more than 30% of your overall business revenue.
Mhm.
But a TPA vendor can help you take care of your day-to-day operational, keep your lights on and your guys paid through slow work and stuff. but
just
but just that, and then
you're not going to make enough money to grow your business, to reinvest in your business, to reinvest in your people. You're not going to make that kind of money on TPA. Your margins are 25% less than doing regular retail work right out of the gate.
yep, but it is. I mean, it's hard, like, because first off, I think we all can agree. I mean, Andy, me and you have been around long enough. I'm sure you've had repeat customers numerous times, but
Yes, we have.
on average, you're not getting repeat customers because most people's houses don't screw up every year.
Right.
So it's hard to market straight to homeowners, and all. Marketing to the agents is the worst thing any contractor can do, in my opinion, because agents have a financial incentive to encourage people not to file claims.
Right.
Maybe. I could argue that, but yeah.
But I mean, most agents, I mean, they're like, oh, it doesn't sound so bad, or they're going to push the preferred vendor.
Sure.
Plumbers, I mean, with your plumbers, they are getting more expensive, but also the amount of leads that the plumbers miss out on, like, how many simple category 3 wax ring failure jobs where I got somebody a brand new remodeled bathroom because their wax ring failed, and the
Mm.
plumber was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that could be counted as a loss for me to call you out on." I was like, "Yeah." Like,
Yeah.
those are I mean, I don't think I've ever been in a house where a wax ring hasn't been filled,
That's a great
Mm.
point.
Do you guys you never get pushback on a wax ring failure? I've like always got pushback on wax ring failures, saying it's like a maintenance issue.
Well, I guess it depends on how abrupt that failure is.
I kind of just reword it and say it's like a failed seal, and then we get it covered, and just by the rewording. But if we just say wax ring failure, they always, in my experience, they always say, it's a maintenance issue. So we just reworded it to failed seal.
Yeah, and usually you're not going to see that right away, and so it is going to manifest as long-term damage. Yeah, I would agree with you, Adam.
Okay.
but I mean, it is. It's hard because the only way really. I mean, I've always been a fan of presence in the community. Like
Mhm.
everyone, like I encourage a lot of people. Don't just invest in like maybe sponsoring the football team. Think of all the other groups, the choirs, the drama clubs. Those people, like I used to, before I had kids, like I would take whatever extra lumber, plywood, paint that we would have at our company that we didn't need no more, and I would drop it off at the drama at my high school, and also they could use it for stage building, and I would
Yeah.
go down and teach them how to build stuff like that. There can help you really make a presence.
Yeah, we would when I was in Portland, the company I was working for, we would find commercial properties that we would just give away carpet cleaning. We'd be
Wow.
like, "Hey, can we come in once a month and clean your carpets?" Just to be there.
Outside the box's box, right?
Exactly. So,
I
yeah, so I don't know if you saw, Don, if you saw OP's OP was on a couple weeks ago, and actually spent some time with him outside the Restoration Rebel Roundtable on another live feed. But he is one who got really good at thinking outside the box and
Mhm.
finding those other ways to provide value to his target clients and his people that he wanted to go after. And he's just all kinds of just out of the box, like, carpet cleaning is one, but he's now doing fire prevention. He's in Southern California. So
Mhm.
he's doing prevention for fire. He's doing maintenance issues, and things that are not,
The norm.
here's the deal.
Okay.
Not just not the norm, but not insurance related, right?
Mhm.
You guys have equipment and skill sets that don't just apply when there's an insurance claim. And so I would explore, first and foremost, you need to clearly define who is your ideal client. In marketing parlance, is called an avatar. Define your client avatar.
Mhm.
And unless you know who your ideal client is, you're going to be shotgunning forever, and you might get what you might consider ideal clients, but you're not going to be as near as effective with your efforts until you focus down. So define your avatar, your client, your ideal client, and then figure out what else you can do for them outside of an insurance claim. because
Okay.
only a tenth, maybe less than a tenth, 10% of insured homes and buildings are going to have a loss in any given year. That means 90% of the general public is not going to have a loss. So how do you go get in front of them and get them to know you before they have a loss? Well, you provide service, you provide value some other way.
One of my favorite things that somebody did here in Indianapolis one year was they went to the school board for one of the townships and said, we want to bid to be your guys' preferred vendor for anything relating to water or mold or fire at the property here. And the school board said as well, because we're a public forum, we have to post it all up and everything, and let other people bid against you. And after 90 days and stuff, we'll decide on who we want. Guess what? No one's going to bid against you if they don't know you're doing it to begin with, because no one ever goes to those meetings. And they won the contract, a 5-year contract for the school. And every single year, they have been called in the summer around July, August to go in and do a full mold remediation cleaning of the entire school, because they turn because it's cost effective to turn the ACs off in this
Right.
closed down building and let it sit all summer. And before school starts, they're getting light growth everywhere, and they get every single year they go in and they have to clean at least 1 or 2 of the schools.
Wow.
That's a great idea. And we have a
That's
lot of
amazing.
schools in our
Yes.
area here.
Yes.
If
And that's a form of pre-disaster planning. There's big companies, Blue Sky, Harborough, Belfour, a lot of the big guys, they go after big corporate accounts, property managers that have millions of square feet under management, and they will offer at a severely discounted or free to put together a disaster response plan.
Wow.
And the idea being you're interfacing with all the key decision makers, you're interfacing with all the maintenance managers of every building, right, in that area, or maybe in that building. You're getting your name, you are putting together a disaster response plan, which is pretty actually basic to do, but you're setting the tone that you are the guys, you are the go-to, and you're doing it outside of an emergency situation, because the time to go find a vendor to suck water out of 10 stories of your building is not after the pipe breaks, it's before.
Got it.
I think one of my favorite things that I learned at the RIA last year, that I've talked to other people about and found out it actually is successful, Andy, was the firefighter approach. Firefighters most firefighters that go to the firehouse, their schedules are made out usually about a year in advance, and they all have pensions. They don't pay into 401k or nothing. They don't have a retirement plan. They get a pension. So those guys are always, when they're off work, they're looking for a little side work to bring in extra money. They're already familiar with disaster zones. They're already fit test. They're already physically fit enough to do the work, and their schedule's reliable for a whole year. And so if you're needing temp labor, like, hit up firefighters, guys, like, and stuff. You'd be surprised. And then, while they're not maybe supposed to, they might be like, hey, they're on the way to a fire, and as you're wrapping up the hoses, hey Andy, we got a really big fire here. You might want to come by here and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's like an open secret. That's the thing. That happens, and I think it's legit. As long as you're not trying to trick anybody,
One of the companies here in Indianapolis actually had a small little camper, and they had a connection with the dispatch, and they would actually roll out to the fire while the fire department was there, and the camper was full of just snacks, towels, and drinks, and like let the firefighters, let the homeowners come in and relax somewhere warm and stuff, and they would hang out. I mean,
wow.
My son was a volunteer for a couple years at our local firehouse. I'm going to have to ask him for some connections over there.
That's right.
Great point.
That's right. It's fair.
I know another guy who's
Use what you got.
Yeah.
His entire business plan now, he was in the restoration. He got out of it. He actually went and bought about 15 different properties strategically located around the city. And now he just rents them out as ALE. He doesn't even rent them out to anybody. They're just ALE properties for people out of home.
Yep.
And he also has 3 or 4 40-foot tow behind trailers that if you want to stay on site at your house, he'll rent you the trailer, hook it up to the sewer, the electric, and all, and he'll bill the insurance company, so much per month for the rental of it and the hookup and then the disconnect, and then your homeowners don't have to leave the property. Like there are so many
Yeah,
avenues on to make
that's
extra
just a
money.
different. It's a revenue stream outside of the normal. We do mitigation. We do fire damage. It's like, no, man. There is so much other
There's
ways
so much more.
to create
Yeah.
revenue.
Well, and I mean, and
That's what
everybody
it's
knows,
about.
like,
Broadening your
Revenue is
horizon.
revenue.
and everybody zones in. Like one of my favorite jobs to this day still, besides trauma, which most people I get why they don't
Ugh.
do it. My favorite jobs, raccoons and possums. Like I have done so many jobs where a raccoon's gotten to the attic and it's crapped everywhere and it leaked into the drywall. That's a covered claim for you
That's
to
a
go
covered
in and
claim.
suck out all the insulation, tear out all the affected
Raccoon is
drywall.
not a rodent.
It's a marsupial. So, or no, the possum's a marsupial. But yeah, like insurance
Raccoon's a
covers
mammal.
those. Yeah, well, possum's a marsupial. It's got a pouch, but they'll pay for you to go in, suck out all that insulation, cut out the affected drywall, clean everything up in the attic, and then put it back together again. I had a house. It was like a $40,000 job
Yep.
completely to do it
Yep.
all.
Mhm.
And I mean, literally nothing was wet. All we had to do was just go with an Insulvec, suck it out, and it was easy. Like there's other
Piece of
facets,
cake.
not
Piece
just
of cake.
water, mold, and fire that people seem to
So,
always forget about.
so Don, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
All right.
If you had to describe what your ideal client is, what would that be?
Where we don't have to pay $750 for the referral to get the
Yes,
job.
that's a
That's
start.
first. And where we have a really good relationship with them
Mm,
and meet with them often. I mean, we go to plumber meetings every couple of months. I think we need to go more often. I like to get to know the plumbers and talk with them and see, just kind of get to know them as if I would a friend. Yeah, what else? Not ideal client, just something more steady, more reliable. And
mm,
that's why I brought up being on a vendors list, just to have a different variety of clientele, not just relying on plumbers that, other competitors are, we're paying them $750, but our competitors paying them $1,000. And it just,
mhm.
Well, I
it's like, when does it end?
I
It
always
doesn't.
first off, I never pay any. This is my thing. I will say this here. I never pay anybody a guaranteed value. I always pay them on a percentage base. I
Mm,
will give you 2% of the mitigation, and and maybe and any plumbing related work that is related to this loss on the mitigation or recon. I'll call you
goes
first
to
on as
you.
well.
Hmm.
But I always base it on a percentage because $750 is not a lot of money if it's a $20,000 loss, but if it's a $3,000 or $4,000 typical loss, that's a big chunk to be given away.
Hmm.
And so I always preface as it like, it's if you get me in the door, I'll give you $50, plain and simple.
Mm,
If I end up selling the job, I'll
mm,
give you 2%, not a big or 3%, whatever the business can afford. I always base it on a percentage, and a lot
yeah.
of people they like that because it's not 750 every time, but guess what? Sometimes you might end up getting $1,500 instead.
Yeah. Are
Um,
you guys, Don, are you guys
We never thought
mitigation
of it like
only
that.
or repairs?
Mitigation, mold,
You
and
taking off,
sometimes
Adam?
reconstruction.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying we're mitigation only.
Oh, okay.
Asbestos. We get
Okay.
some of those jobs too. So, recon jobs, I know we don't like to do them that much. From what I understand, it's a real pain in the neck. So we sub out some of our work, but we have two warehouses. One we have pay $3,000 a month, have two brand new trucks sitting in there that we barely use.
Mm.
So I'm like, why don't we make or even get into contents? Have a whole warehouse for
Well,
specializing with
because
contents or
because
recon.
contents is a thing.
Content is its own
It
entity,
is
and
it is a thing.
you
So
know,
let me propose something. I
Sure.
guarantee you that there are restoration companies in your market that don't do mitigation. Find them and say, hey, we don't do repairs. Every mitigation we get, we want to be able to refer the repairs to you. Does that sound good? And then you make that referral.
Or there's
That
general contractors that don't do mitigation.
they will reciprocate. Yes, general contractors as well, but the restorers are in a better position to give referrals on the mitigation side because they're dialed into the ecosystem more.
But it's a lot. That's a very niche amount of people that don't do water damage in the restoration.
I disagree. There's
That's interesting.
I think
Okay.
it's a preference, and if
There's
you're
a
especially
lot
if
of
you're-
water companies out there that only do Cat 1s and 2s and not 3s.
yeah, if you're a GC or remodeler getting into this restoration space, I know several that had just okay, we're just going to do the repairs because they don't want to deal with being on call 24/7. They don't want to deal with dispatching people and dealing with emergency services and getting all the training and all the equipment that mitigation entails. They're perfectly happy to do repairs.
The repair company that we do use owned a huge water restoration company. Actually, it was one of our biggest competitors, but they sold it and they opened up a repair reconstruction company.
Mm-hmm.
And we use them when we can, but they're so busy
Mm.
that they can't always help us. So then we kind of use a second guy to do it.
Well, just like you said, you guys do abatement. Like, there's a lot of companies that don't do abatement.
That don't do
Like,
abatement.
hey,
It's a thing.
you guys do your testing. If there's abatement, give it to me, and make a trade-off or something, or make it, I'll give you a percentage of it. Like abatement jobs, like when I was in the field, I was always trying to find another company that did abatement because there was only like 2 or 3 in the company in the
Because it's
city
a
that would do it.
hassle and there's a lot of risk.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the jobs that we've gotten recently, we've made a lot of money off of abatement and mold.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you
Jobs,
this here:
nice chunk of change.
do you know how often your guys are actually calling for testing?
Once, twice a week.
And how many
I
jobs a
think.
week?
No, your question was what percentage of jobs are you testing?
What percentage of jobs?
Like, I mean, any home built
got
before
it.
81 should be tested, the drywall and the tile and the vinyls. I mean,
I think it
and
depends on the job. That's my impression. Like when I go through the jobs that I think it really depends on the level of water damage on the job that they test for mold, but I think a majority of them they do.
well, testing
No,
for mold
testing
and
for
testing for
asbestos.
asbestos is different.
Testing for asbestos.
Right. Testing for
I would
asbestos,
venture a
that
guess.
really depends. I think it depends.
I know companies that test every single job regardless of year.
Yes.
I mean, by
Yes.
Really?
default, by default, you should be testing anything I know people are gonna be like 70 block, anything pre-81, anything before pre-81, anything that's considered a commercial property or like a condo, apartment, storefront, whatever, and any multifamily home that has more than 2 units. So if you have like a duplex there, not a big deal. But if it's like a quadplex and there's 4 houses right there together, that should be tested. That's because your risk of the cheap Chinese drywall is so much higher on those properties.
In Washington State,
Mhm.
before you can demo anything, right? Before you can make any material friable, before you can cut into it, you have to prove it doesn't contain asbestos or lead. So the protocol in Washington State for all these mitigators is day one, get there, pull your samples, plant some dehues to maybe you're doing some extraction, right? Everything short of demo you can do. So you put some equipment to maintain the environment,
Containment, air scrubber.
put up containments, put up air scrubbers, pull your samples, and then wait for the results. And then
the
depending
best
on the
day to get to
results,
work
tells
is
you
on
what you can do.
Anything after Friday at noon, you ain't gonna get the results back probably till Monday, and that's
No.
3 days of free rentals.
It's 3 days of free rentals, but it's not. I mean, it's necessary, right? It's just necessary.
Mhm.
But you also have folks they're doing their own testing, asbestos testing in house. I don't I don't recommend that
No,
at all.
EMS. You're in New Jersey. You have
You gotta have-
EMSL.
You got to
Civic
have
EMSL,
third party. You got to have third party.
Yes.
You know,
Okay, I think we beat some dead horses. We're about at time. Adam, I'm going to give you the last word on this week's Restoration Rebel Roundtable. You want
My goodness.
Want me
Don't
to
make
talk
it
to you a
yes-
few minutes
don't make
to
it yes,
get you
indeed.
something to think about?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna review. If you're not a RIA member, become an RIA member. If you're not going to Dallas April 8th, you're a loser, and
You're
I don't want to
square.
talk to you ever again.
You're square
No.
because you're not around. That's all.
You're square because you're not around us. That's going to be a great. I think this is going to be the biggest show the RIA has ever done this year.
I wasn't going to go either. I went last year.
You were there.
I was there.
Well, you didn't come sit at my couch in my booth.
Well, maybe I will on April 8th or whenever your booth is going to be there.
We're going to have
The whole time.
Have a big screen and just a couple comfy couches, and we're just going to chill. No sales involved.
All right. Maybe I'll see you there.
Okay. Well, make it happen. Make it happen. Bring the hubby if you're I don't know. I'm assuming here.
No, I'll bring my sister. She runs the business.
Okay. That'd be great.
Yeah.
There is so much to be said for just getting in the same room with like-minded people that deal with the things you're dealing with every day. It's a lot of catharsis happens. Yeah.
You don't
in those
feel
things.
alone like it's a problem only you're dealing
Exactly.
with.
Exactly right. All right, Adam.
Very
what you got?
interesting.
All right. Document everything. Take a million photos. That's how I feel. You can never have too much documentation. Make sure your client is fully aware of how this process works and knowing that the insurance is ultimately, they're there for them, but they're really not. They're going to do anything they can to save their self some money, which I understand as a business. However, it doesn't really reciprocate to the client. And the client needs to know that the insurance carrier needs to fulfill their policy and, fulfill their I'm sorry, I'm just kind of drawing a blank, but just fulfill their duty.
Their duties.
Exactly. And the clients, 99% of clients don't know that, and they feel like they're supposed to do whatever the carrier says. Yes. And the customer needs to be fully aware that, us as a provider is there for them and not there for the carrier. That's how we kind of present ourselves. And ultimately, this is a hard game to play, and it's going to take a lot of learning, and it's going to be a shit show at first, and it's just a huge learning curve. And I just want to thank you, Andy, because when we initially got in business, you were a major focal point of leading us through this process. Nice. And you showed me everything. I'm still learning, but you showed me a ton of knowledge that I needed to, as far as billing wise. Like it's just a hard game, and it takes time.
You didn't know, and you guys were not alone in. You were making a ton of assumptions about how things work. That's just not how things work, right? They don't have to work that way if we don't want them to. So, hey, man, that means a lot. I appreciate your kind words there, brother.
Hey, the first time you called me on the phone, I think the only time we spoke on the phone, when you called me, I was just kind of, I don't know if you recall this conversation, but I was just kind of enamored that you called me, and I was like, you're a superstar. I I thank you so much. And look,
Thanks, man.
your information that you provide is invaluable, and this is one of the best programs you could learn or be on to learn, you know, the ropes of how this industry works and how it should work. So
Well, that's cool. Yes, your check's in the mail, brother. That was nice. I'm putting that in the mail. All right, that'll wrap it up. Everyone out there, once again, RIA, be there or be square, or you can come back next week, 5:30
Yes.
Pacific. Every week, we're here doing the do. Be good to each other. Take it. Take
one
an
more
opportunity-
thing,
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Joe. I don't want to leave you out. Joe, you're awesome as well. I've been. You guys have been side by side, and I value your information that you provide just as much as Andy. So thank you guys very much.
There. I get that.
Thank you guys. I learn every time I listen. So
As
I
tell
appreciate
everybody,
it.
as I tell everyone, if you got a question and you feel like you're too embarrassed to ask it in the public, message me, message Andy.
DMs, baby.
Mhm.
We have
DMs.
no problem talking to you guys. And then I'm going to get my one shameless plug of the night in, Andy, real
Do it.
quick. Unlike Andy, who works with your people on the front end and helps you write your estimates, RIB helps you write your estimates and works you on the back end on actually submitting, collecting, and arguing so you can spend more time making business choices happen. If anybody needs help with files, or even if it's just submitting, you want to write your own files, but you just don't want to deal with sending them to the adjuster and calling them and checking in and fighting for your money, RIB's here to help you. Feel free to message me on Facebook or email, and let's have a conversation.
Boom. All right.
Thank you guys.
See y'all next week.
Okay.